Heather,
Yes, honey.
would you please give me a quick synopsis of what all this is, what we're doing here?
So, we filmed your father for this project, what, 6 months? 9 months ago? A year? A year ago?
A year and a half.
Wow, a year.
It's a year and a half.
Time flies. And we're just showing him what we did through post-production with his filming. And he's asked a couple of questions and got a couple of answers, got a couple of wrong answers, got a couple of right answers. And we're going to go back and tweak it. And then it's going to be put on the big stage in October at the Holocaust Education.
Name.
What is your name?
My name is Israel Starck, spelled S-T-A-R-C-K. I was born on July 19th, 1929,
I didn't ask you that.
and I presently reside in the city of Chicago.
Where are you from originally?
I was born on July 19th, 1929 in Podgorica, Czechoslovakia, approximately 2.5 kilometers from Munkac, assisted by a midwife in those days.
What was your family like before the war?
Yeah, my parents were very devoted and loving parents. My father's name was Herschel Storch, spelled S-T-O-R-C-H, and my mother's name was Hanne Bessel, and I was, of course, what's known as Ben Yochid, which means the only male child. I had 3 sisters. My older sister was Gito, and my middle sister was Yolanda or Yoli, and I had a younger sister by the name of Miriam, who in later years I know that she was totally handicapped with a illness that there was no help for, and we had to constantly take care of her needs day and night.
What is one of your favorite memories from before the war?
If you want me to describe my childhood, I'll just tell you that I was a very happy little boy. My memories, I think, eventually of my childhood only start at the age of 3, because there was a special time when I started learning Hebrew, or the Hebrew language, or I would say not the language so much as the alphabet, the Hebrew alphabet, and its sounds, which is U, A, A, or O, and that was a very, very happy time. And I don't think that we could afford, or I got many toys to play with, so I was very willing to manufacture my own toys. I remember once that I decided that I need a pair of skis. Of course, I would not even approach my parents and ask them to buy me a pair of skis. So I decided to make my own. And I think that would probably be at the age of 5 or 6. And I also learned how to take a certain piece of wood and make it bend a little bit forward by applying certain heat to it. So I also was very active in carrying around old documents or papers, imagining that I was a great rabbi or lawyer who had some very important things to accomplish. So it was a very, very happy childhood, even though I did not have the toys that my grandchildren are enjoying now.
Was your family religious before the war?
Of course, my father was a Chassid, And he was, as his parents, were Belzer Hasidim. By Belz is a well-known dynasty, rabbinical dynasty. And I imagine my grandfather's parents also already belonged to this dynasty, because I heard many tales about them traveling to Belz on those days. And traveling to Belz to see the rabbi was not a small accomplishment. It was not like you got on a train or a plane these days. I imagine you had to schlep with the horse and buggy. But nevertheless, my great-grandfather did go to the rabbi. I don't remember my father ever having the opportunity to travel to Belz to see the rabbi. But on the other hand, my mother had her own emunas tzadikim. Emunas tzadikim means believe or trust in righteous people or righteous rabbis. Her rabbi was at that time Moishele Zidechoiber. Zidechoib also was a dynasty, a rabbinic dynasty. She trusted, and any time that she really felt that she has to unload her sorrows and her troubling mind because of what was going on with the approaching war years, she just went to Rabbi Moishele Zidechoiber. And at one time, she also took me along, and I witnessed her pouring her heart out to this rabbi about the troubled time that we are in, and why does the Rebbeinu Shalom not helping us?
Can you tell me about when you were captured?
It wasn't a matter of being captured. I was not hiding, and I was not on the run. We remained with our family, and exactly where we were during the entire Hungarian occupation. There was no change. So basically we were in our homes and our natural surroundings till they came and knocked on our door and told us to get ready to leave.
What was liberation like?
I was standing at the gate, which this time was open. There was also a big difference because there was no German soldier standing behind me or beside me with his weapon. So, and also some of my friends were standing next to me, including one of the famous rabbis by the name of Srulek Grunwald from Gust, who was a well-known rabbi before the war. He was also standing next to me, and some of my friends. And the minute we heard the rumble of tanks, we realized that the moment is here. Sure enough, suddenly these steel giant tanks appeared in front of us, and we wouldn't move, and we figured if even to be trampled at this moment with the tanks is still something we would prefer than killed by the Germans. And of course the tanks stopped about maybe 10, 15 feet in front of me and my friends, and there were two tanks, and there was a jeep of officers, American officers behind the tank, and there was a Red Cross ambulance behind the jeep. We suddenly lunged at the tanks and started kissing the threads of the steel and crying and hugging. And while this took place, I noticed that the turret of one of the tanks opened slightly. And as the turret opened, things started coming out, some crackers, some cigarettes, some chocolate. And all these prisoners standing there lunched. They all wanted to get a piece of what was thrown out. And there was a melee of maybe 50 or 100 who tried to reach for these things and grab from each other. And unfortunately, many were suffocated or trampled to death and never got up from that melee that took place. And of course, the tank driver that must have witnessed that scene, and he stopped throwing things out. At this time, the officers disembarked from the jeep and started asking whether there is any of us understand English or speak English.
Yeah,
Wait.
this is true.
What did the kids say at USC?
That it feels like talking to their grandfather when they're talking to Izzy.
Well, that is cute.